Hey guys, welcome back to the Sim and K Way. It's Sim, and I hope that you're having a really good week. So for today's video, I'm sure you can tell by the title, we are going to be talking about things that you should know / things that I wish I knew before going to college. I want this to be like things that you should just know in general, because some of these things I did know, they were just really emphasized when I got to college, and I was like, okay, yeah, I knew this, but I didn't know how much I needed to know it until I got here. Even though I go to Howard, and a lot of these things will be kind of like Howard centered, the whole focus is college, and it can be applied no matter where you go. If it is like specifically Howard advice, then I will definitely let y'all know. But let's get right into it. I did do the tea about Howard video definitely a year ago. So this is like an updated version. So definitely less tea and more so just general advice. Like, yeah, we got into like some things you might not know, but now that you know them, how are we gonna approach the situation? That's what this video is like. First thing that I have down, I'm looking down at my phone for the notes. I've covered this before in a video with Kayla way back at the beginning of sophomore year, but we're bringing it back around. The campus is small, so you will run into people all the time. This is obviously Howard specific because you might go to a university that's huge. My brother goes to Michigan State. That's literally like a miniature town. Probably not even a miniature town. It's probably bigger than some small towns. But Howard is significantly smaller than a school like Michigan State. So you just need to be very aware of how you treat people, how you interact with people. And for me personally, I know I mentioned in past videos, I wasn't that close with my roommate. Some people have like amazing roommate stories where they're like, oh, my freshman year roommate is still my best friend to this day. She was in my wedding. That was not the case for me for both years, for my freshman year and my sophomore year. And I do regret not at least being cordial with the girls that I roomed with, because you continue to see them. Like, it's not like, oh, this is my roommate, that year's over, I'm never gonna see them again, or I'm not gonna see them that often. I saw my roommates all the time, and it would be so kind of awkward because sometimes we would speak, sometimes we wouldn't. And my freshman year roommates, they were close with each other, but I just did not really talk to them. And even though we didn't have that much in common, I feel like I still could have been a little bit more cordial, at least conversational. And the same applies to my sophomore year roommate. Just try not to be unnecessarily rude. I don't think I was, but the campus is small, so just be conscious of that. The next one is you need to be able to assert yourself. Don't wait on other people to figure out what you want to do or how you're going to do it. So what I mean by this is, don't wait around to see like, oh, is my roommate doing it, or is all this person in the group chat doing it? Because there are people who are not waiting around, and they will take the spot that you wanted, or they'll take the opportunity that you were kind of twiddling your thumbs about. And it kind of just takes a little bit of growth, which I'll get into later, because if you are a little bit more reserved or less assertive, then it can be challenging for you, but you will get the hang of it, especially if it's something that you really, really want. And a lot of times, like, other freshmen, just because they look like they know what they're doing, that doesn't necessarily mean that they do. So if you're just saying like, oh, these other freshmen are doing this, so, or they're not doing this, so I'm not gonna do it, like, no. Talk to administration if they're cooperating with you. Talk to upperclassmen, figure it out, and don't be too afraid to go for things that you want. This is a big one for me. I don't think I mentioned it in the tea about Howard, but I think I mentioned it way back. You can finesse the CAF. I blew through so much money my first year of college just because I had it, and part of me thinks it was like a coping mechanism. I now have realized that I do have a problem with retail therapy, just spending money in general. But do not blow through all of your money thinking that you can't finesse the CAF. It may be tiresome, it may be a little trying, and sometimes you just can't. And if that's the case, then go ahead, order yourself some food. But you can go to the CAF and get a sandwich one day, and then get pasta another day, and you might look up and they're having something good in the main line. You just have to figure it out and finesse it so you can save your coins for the weekend, because I know at Howard specifically, they shut down Blackburn. So you only have one CAF option, and that CAF, as I've stated multiple times before, is not it for me. I'm not a fan of annex calf for anything, usually ever, except for the pasta and the stir fry. And those are not open on the weekends. So that is when you might want to spend more money on outside food. But even still, if you don't have that money, you can finesse the calf. I promise you can. Oh, in addition to that, sometimes a part of finessing the calf was going to the C-store. And I don't know, I'm sure other schools have convenience stores and things like that on campus where you can use like dining dollars or whatever you want to call it to purchase things from, like a convenience store type thing. So literally every semester I run out of dining dollars before, like 2 months before the school year is over. If you could go to Walmart and get a pack of like 10 chips for $5 or 15 chips for $5, do that. Because you will go to the C-store and get like a jumbo bag of chips. It's not even what you think, for $5, and it'll be gone that next day. Need to budget it correctly, or increase my dining dollars. I haven't been to Howard in so long, I don't remember what it's called. I think it's dining dollars that we use in like Punch Out in the C-store. Increase that and take down your swipes in the calf or something like that, because you don't go that often. Just know yourself, don't play yourself. 2 things for $10 is highway robbery. Budget better. Okay, the next one is we always have to dive into the boys. We always have to, or girls, whatever floats your boat. The boys will show you who they are very quickly. Note that. Yeah, I feel like people in general, whether you're into guys or girls, will show you very quickly what type of people they are. For Howard young men, because the campus is so small, if you don't see it from them, you'll hear it from someone else. So if this person tells you, oh, that guy is lame, like he gets no play, that's why he acts like that, please believe them. Especially if it's a friend or an upperclassman, somebody who's in their year, because a lot of times as a freshman you come in and like these sophomore young men are trying to speak to you and you don't know what to go off of. Like for example, if one of my sisters tells me, oh yeah, no, he's in my year, like I said, he's lame because he moves kind of weird. Just because you haven't seen it yet doesn't mean that that's incorrect. They know this stuff, they've been here longer than you, because it will reveal itself. So definitely just take the advice of older people, especially if they know someone that's in their year that's trying to pursue you or talk to you, waste your time most likely. Yeah, just pay attention to signs. Just keep both ears open, both eyes looking around. The next one is, I said you're only there for 4 quick years. That's usually the plan, unless you're in some type of 5-year program where you end up having to stay for 5 years. But for the most part, you're only there for 4 quick years. Please make the most of it. And I feel like now of all times, I can really attest to that statement, because the pandemic really came and stole the rest of my college experience. Most likely, if we do go back, it's going to be hybrid. It's not going to be the same. And it'll be my senior year. Oh, I forgot to say I'm a junior, legal communications major, criminology minor at Howard. Next time I go back to DC, I'll be a senior. And it just goes to show that regardless, it's going to go by like that. And you think you have so much time to explore the city or do this or do that, join this club, take this internship, and you really don't. So not to freak you out, just live in it, soak it all up, and don't waste time. That kind of goes back to the other point I made. If there's something you want to go for or you want to go after, then do it. Like, the worst that can happen is you don't get it or you don't make it, but at least try. So the next one says, stand up for yourself. Don't let your professors play you. They're not always right. I really learned that in this virtual setting, because a lot of these professors were not trained to do any type of virtual like teaching. You'd be surprised how bad, like how much they struggle. And a lot of times, like, their disposition through the computer can be gross. Like, it can be off, it can be rude, and I don't really know what it is. Like, I'm thinking of one professor for me in particular right now that I just do not like, and I have not had a professor that I just absolutely did not like so far. But I have had professors that will not be 100% correct, and you just kind of have to assert yourself once again and not be disrespectful, because they are your professors, and I don't believe in being disrespectful. But just because somebody is your professor does not mean that they are correct. Don't let them play you. Don't let them be disrespectful. There's a respectful way to kind of check someone, a professor, somebody that's older than you, authority figure, however you want to put it. There's just a correct way to do something, and I think a lot of people come from the mindset of teacher is always right, professor is always right, because they have that title. But that's not always the case. And if somebody isn't teaching you in the best way, or you feel like they're kind of slighting you, or just not being understanding of the circumstances being this pandemic and the racial climate of the world, because it's getting crazy, then stand up for yourself. Like, it's really that simple. And I've seen like different things, like from like Howard Twitter, or like people that I know, like screenshots of emails to their professors, and their professors are just being rude and disrespectful. You can go above them. That's no problem. That is no problem. And just fight hard for yourself until you get what you came here for, an education and respectful teachers who care about you. And for the most part, that's been my experience for whatever reason this year. And it's a professor that I've had before. Like, I had him last year, and he annoyed me last year, like his teaching style. But for whatever reason, I decided to take a class and didn't pay attention to who was teaching the class, because I don't think I would have taken the class if I knew it was him. And that brings me to another point. You please pay attention to Rate My Professor, because for whatever reason, Howard gives us these little student surveys. I feel like most schools do, but I don't think they read them or pay attention to them, because I know that people have probably complained about this man before, why he's still allowed to teach certain things. I don't know if he's gotten feedback and just been like, I don't care, because I could see him doing that. I went in on my course evaluation this year, and usually I don't do them, but my hope is that he changes for the better, because it's just so hard to have to do something and not have the professor make it not easy for you, because some things won't be easy, but I don't even know the word, but just like tolerable. If I email you and I have a question because you didn't clarify the assignment, and I'm just not following what you're saying, and you respond with a smart remark that still doesn't answer my question, I'm at a crossroads. I have two choices here: be disrespectful and still not get an answer, or be respectful and still not get an answer. Like, what? I'm just gonna choose the respectful route, but it's just like, you're wasting my time and yours. So before I just go on the tangent about this man, because I do not like this professor, I'm gonna let it go. But if you take anything away from that little rant, just stand up for yourself. Okay, this one is still on the like COVID track, but also could be applicable for non-pandemic life, because I pray that will end soon. Pay for the essential things before you get to your college town, if that makes sense. And I learned this especially in DC, because there are so many colleges that are in DC, and just surrounding, like, even if they're not in DC, people will come in, I guess. So you might go to a Target that's near Howard, or like 5 minutes away from Howard, but when everybody's coming back, everyone is trying to get their stuff, so the shelves will be empty. So if you can, I'm not saying like pack everything in your suitcase possible, because you can still order things from Amazon to your dorm. Like, that's a part of like paying for things. You can do those, like, I know Bed Bath and Body Works does that like shopping thing where you could pay for something in your hometown and pick it up there. That's extremely beneficial. We did that my freshman year, we did it my sophomore year. I do it again for senior year. The COVID edition of this is when you're looking for like Lysol, the Clorox wipes, hand sanitizer, because we know that these things are already in high demand and they're already hard to find in your local city, in your local Target. My mom has been stocking up on this stuff since the pandemic first started, just because she's a planner like that. But now's the time. If you see a sale of 3 Lysols, get it. Even if you have to like stuff it in your luggage, pay for it, because you're gonna be sick when you get to your designated city if you're back on campus or you're just moving into an apartment or whatever and you don't have it, you'll be sick. So hopefully not sick, but you'll be sick inside. Mentally, no, it's not sounding right. The next thing is like Howard specific, DC specific. Bring a water filter. For whatever reason, DC water is sick. I guess that's the word of the video, sick. But yeah, I would prefer not to drink that water. It's also very hard on the skin. I know I'm going through something with my skin right now. Fun fact, not very fun. I was having like mask acne and I freaked out and I put tea tree oil on my face. My mom was like, don't do it, it's too strong, you need a carrier oil or dilute it with some water. And I'm like, oh, I've done it before. So I go whop whop whop, and it burned the mess out of my face. I have very sensitive skin. I think it would do that to really anyone, unfortunately. And it's gotten so much better. I've been using like vitamin C serum, some cocoa butter, several different things, vitamin E oil. So I just decided to point out my flaws. But yes, since we're talking about skin, please don't do that. It truly burnt. Like the burn was like dark all the way up here. So slowly but surely she's getting better. Checking your email is just as important as checking your planner. I think I learned the importance of that like my senior year of high school. It kind of scares me how I know some people that are my age that don't check their email. How? So many important things come to my personal email and then my Howard email. That's the first thing I do when I wake up. It should be to pray and read a scripture. I'm working on myself, but before I check Instagram, before I check anything, I'm in that email because things change so quickly and I just like to stay abreast. They email us about everything. Well, they do, not always in a timely fashion, but they will. So just pay attention to your email. This is one that everyone says in every Howard video ever. I think this is good advice for HBCUs in general. Keep track of all of your everything, and by all of your everything I mean paperwork, emails, personal documents, because I haven't had too many experiences of admin trying to play me, but I hear about it all the time at Howard and just HBCUs, and you could have had a conversation with them, scan them certain things, and they'll be like, oh, I don't have it. But you do. You have the receipt of the conversation, the phone call, who you talked to, what their position was, and you have a picture of the document that you sent with the date that you sent it because you wrote down. And then at that point they will have to hold themselves accountable. They can't play you. Once again, they will try and play you just because sometimes people are lazy, or sometimes, I don't know, admin will be switched out. Somebody who used to work there 3 months ago for whatever reason doesn't work there anymore. So you have to be responsible for your own documentation and really everything down to literally emails. Star them so you don't lose them, don't delete them, because you never know. Like they'll even try to say like you didn't pay something. Oh, I definitely did. I have the check number right. You know what I'm saying? Like you just have to be very on top of things. This one is in general. Please look out for your friends, especially my girls. There are predators everywhere, all the time. And I don't just mean predators around, like, because there'll be people on Howard's campus that are just like there, and you'll be having a conversation with them and you're like, oh, okay, you're kind of cute, or you're just cool, let me be cordial. And you're like, oh, what's your major, what school are you in, where do you live? And they're like, oh, I actually don't go to Howard. And you're like, oh, how'd you get here then? What are you doing here? Like they'll be there to prey on girls, especially freshmen. Oh, they will sit outside of dorms. It's actually alarming. It's actually a problem. And I just know that sexual assault and rape is a problem on college campuses in general, a problem that they do not address, a problem that they sweep under the rug. So please look out for your friends, even girls that aren't your friends. If you see a girl drunk stumbling and you see some guys around the corner leaning on their little Chargers or whatever they drive, talking, look like they're coming up with something, I don't know, intervene somehow. Hey girl, I missed you, like let's get, not the dog barking, let me walk you back. Like I don't know, that's just something I would do because it just happens too often. It happens way too often. And even guys who go to your school, Howard in particular, there are so many guys that, oh, everybody's best friend, everybody's this, that, and the third, but they're predators, they're rapists, they're sexual assailants. Like, is that the right, is an assaulter an assailant? I don't think so, but they hurt people. So just be careful. If you have a weird feeling about someone, if you're at a kickback, you're talking to somebody and you just have a weird feeling in your stomach, please trust your gut. Please do, because 9 times out of 10 you are correct. So just be careful, stay prayed up, look out for each other. Don't let people walk back by themselves. Like this, people say it all the time, but like I don't think people are hearing it. Guys, if you with a girl, your girls, like you have girlfriends, like please just look out for them. Like, oh my god, oh, it just gives me the shivers because it happens so often. Whew, yeah, let's move on. Kind of going on that like being careful tip, DC is a major city. If you're from like a suburban town, or you're just from like kind of like a, what is the word when you're like protected from a place that's like sheltered. Whew. If you're from a very sheltered town, or your family kind of sheltered you, just remember, okay, this is how we're specific, just remember that you're in a major city. Crime happens. Pay attention to those crime alerts. We get them all the time. Shooting, stabbing, robbery. Don't just take that with a grain of salt. Pay attention to your surroundings. Like, I don't know, I'm from a major city. I'm from Detroit. Lots of crime, lots of stuff going on, but it's still not as fast paced as some cities. Like, I'm kind of like, I've been kind of taught to like be looking over my shoulder. Like, I remember one time, bro, this is a side story, I remember I was coming like from iLab or Starbucks or something like that, and this girl was crossing the street, but the way she was coming up on me, I literally like snapped my neck, looked at her crazy, like, and I feel bad because she was just like, I guess trying to cross the street, but the way she walked up on me, I'm like, hold on, like you gotta like anything like sudden movements, anything like that, like I'm just constantly checking my surroundings, playing it cool. You don't walk up on somebody like that. But she probably wasn't thinking about it. She probably wasn't thinking about the fact she should put some space. She shouldn't walk with so much urgency. And it's not about being scary, it's just about being aware of your surroundings. Like, I know so many people who would just walk around, not really pay attention to like where they're going and things like that. And I know sometimes I can just be like, oh, where am I? But I'm still like, I know I'm gonna figure some stuff out. I'm gonna make sure this is on. I'm gonna make sure like my location on. Just don't go doing stuff without like a buddy or people knowing like where you're going, because you can't always have friends go with you to get stuff. But just remember that DC is a major city. There's crime like there is with any other major city. And even though like I'm from a city that has a high crime rate and, you know, is a city I guess, it's different from DC because it's the Midwest, kind of North Midwest, and DC is the East Coast. So even like the way things are set up, like the buildings just like right next to each other, I feel like it allows for things to happen very like a lot more quickly. A lot of Detroit is kind of like blighted and there's lots of empty space, so you kind of just know like, oh, I'm not about to go down this street with tons of abandoned buildings because there's probably some weird stuff going on. But in DC, like, I don't really see that much of that. Like, most of the stuff is populated. It's probably overpopulated. So if anything, things happen a lot quicker. So like, I don't know if I'm making sense, but you could see a whole bunch of houses occupied, but that still doesn't mean that you should go like just exploring anywhere, because shit gets snatched, like, or you get stabbed really quickly. I don't know. That's just kind of how things go. So just pay attention. Don't be ignorant. Just because you're at college doesn't mean that you're not still in a place where people live and people do bad things. Like, that's just kind of life. One of my next points is a really quick one. Call your mom, call your dad, whoever your support system is, whoever helps you get to college. I know freshman year, I could have called my mom and my grandparents more. They miss you. They just want to hear your voice. Even if you're just calling to tell them what you ate for lunch, they like that stuff. So just be nice. Call your parents, love them, your guardians, whoever helped you. Do that. And the last one that I have is don't be afraid of change and growth. College is a time for self-evolution, for growing, for developing. Things are going to be uncomfortable because that's how growth works. But you should not go into college you should not come out of college the same way that you went in. Allow for new opportunities to change you into a better person. I'm all about growth and self-reflection and evolving. If you outgrow someone, sorry. If you outgrow something that you used to do, sorry. It's all for the best. So yes, I talked a whole bunch. I hope that was very helpful. Please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you have any questions at all about college, about Howard, please feel free to leave them in the comments or Instagram me, DM me, whatever you gotta do. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.
She wants a lean, she want the Gucci. I ride with some